My name is James Stalker, and I'm a Lieutenant Colonel in the Canadian military, and I'm the commanding officer of the Queen's York Rangers. For me personally, operating within Canada has a specific set of challenges, but also a set of rewards in that you're helping Canadians in their hour of need. And at the end of the day, I think that's what most CAF personnel signed up for. So there's a real realness to it. I would offer as well that in this case, there was an element where potentially our own families could be exposed to this virus. There was a little bit of worry involved. You know, all missions have risks, and this is one of the risks inherent to this mission. But I would say it sort of set it apart in terms of its immediacy, was the idea that we are doing something concrete to try to combat this threat to Canadians. And to me, that it was a real honor to be able to serve on that sort of mission with an incredibly talented, large group of people. When COVID-19 really emerged as a public health crisis, the military quite rapidly began mobilizing reserve forces across the province. This was actually the largest primary reserve mobilization since the Second World War, and grouped into certain elements. And the element that I worked with was called Territorial Battle Group 1. I was the commanding officer of that unit, and we were essentially the rapid response unit, which formed as a composite from forces from across the province and based out of CFB Borden, which is just north of Toronto. And there, we formed, organized, and began training in preparation for a call out in response to some sort of domestic emergency. What ultimately transpired was a crisis in Canada's long-term care facilities, which spurred us to intake some medical professionals, train, integrate those medical professionals, and then deploy into Toronto. And there we assisted with ultimately 7 long-term care facilities as part of a broader pan-governmental stabilization effort. There were no average days with TBG-1. Once we had the task and we deployed into Toronto, there was a lot of logistics. And then once we were on the task in the homes, we pretty much divided up those. Each home was assigned essentially a task unit or a dedicated specialized force, about 50 people, split between medical personnel and soldiers, sailors, and aviators, broke up into teams, and then worked to assist the existing home staff. We started with essentially 12-hour shifts. So the folks would be on for 12 hours and then off for 12 hours. And in that 12-hour period, they would have to do their decontamination, they'd have to eat, take care of their personal administration, write their reporting, et cetera. So extremely busy days for those folks in the homes off the hop. One soldier played piano often twice a day in this particular LTCF. And then, when the piano was played, you could absolutely feel the mood change among the residents and the staff. I have another group of soldiers who helped residents construct bird feeders to hang outside their windows. And it seems like a small thing, but when you consider that many of these residents were completely isolated in their rooms, they weren't allowed to have visitors at the time. The idea of having a regular winged friend come visit you every day actually was a boon to morale. So these are kind of some of the examples of ways that we tried our best in a small way to add value on the task. I think I learned personally to tremendously respect those working in these long-term care facilities. These folks, these caregivers, personal support workers, nurses and doctors, they were there fighting this fight well before we got there. They're there now, well after we've gone. And I just have tremendous respect for the hard work that they put in day out. I would also offer that I learned very viscerally the level and dedication of commitment to service that we have in our military. Like I said, these reservists stopped what they were doing in their day jobs, stopped what they were doing at school, left their families behind, and due to safety, for the most part, we were isolated from our families for that 3.5-month, 4-month period. And they dove in, and they were incredibly motivated to serve. And to me, that was personally very motivating.